Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Meatwagon, Chris, whatever. I'm back. I'm back off the camera. I'm over here. We're back. This is part 5? Part 5. And I think that this will probably be the last part. This will be the last part of the PC build. So, when at the end of the last video, we had wired up the SATA connectors and the power supply connectors for the hard drives. The only thing I had left to do was for the Blu-ray. And right here is the SATA connector, and here's the power supply. I've got them routed through the back. Now, what's left to do is we're going to put the graphics card in, and then we're going to apply the power cables to the graphics card, and then I will probably stop the video temporarily. I'll plug in a monitor, keyboard, mouse, and the power supply, and then we'll boot this thing up together for the first time and see if she blows up. I mean, see if she works okay. So I have, you'll see here in a second why I do all this stuff in the order that I do it. You'll see because of the size of the graphics card, it's going to come way out over here. And that's, again, why you want to keep this whole area clear of wiring going anywhere straight up through here. Because if you're going to use one of these cards, they take up a ton of room. The other thing is, in here, you can see I fit my whole hand up in here. There's nothing in either of these bays, and there's a vent in the front. So it allows airflow to come straight through here, basically like this. And it's got the vents on the top. So this whole area up top is really well ventilated. Then here you've got a fan on top of the power supply, and you've got the vents that are going to come in between these areas. That's why I spaced out these. You'll have it coming through here and also up through the bottom. So you have two big cavities here of areas for airflow, and that's exactly why you want to organize your cabling and kind of lay your components out the way I have here. So let's move ahead here. Here is the graphics card. See, I still have the protective piece on there. This particular protective piece is for if you're going to run multiple graphics cards. You would there's a bridge that goes on here to the next graphics card to connect them together. So, all right, so this is going to be interesting. Normally, I would lay this flat on its back so the card would be sliding in from the top. But I'm going to try and do this so you guys can see. Let me take this piece off, all right? So now we have those pins, the ones I'm talking about that you don't want to touch. These gold pins here. Those are just the areas that you want to be careful with. Now, if you can see in here these white deals here, this is. Let me move this just a little bit. Oh, there we go. This is the piece you want to make sure it's just pushed back, and that's the piece that should flap up and lock in right here. Okay. Can you see that? Put it behind something. See that little piece right there? Alright, so you want to get these three, I gotta put it like this. You want to get make sure that these three pins go up on the back. This is where you're going to be able to bolt in the support on the back side here. Now this is, let's see what we can do here. You can see how big the card is going in here, right? Just trying to get the back lined up here first. Make sure we're all lined up out there. And I'm going to try and look through the top here. Alright, so the back is good. They're starting to slide into place. Now I got to make sure that I've got the angle correct. Alright. We're going to, oh, hold on. Come on back. Alright, here we go. Okay, so right there, just snapped into place. Okay, now I'm gonna reach underneath here. Oh, I can't reach, that's double length. Alright, so on the back here, let me turn this a little bit. On the back here, it's flush. This is where the piece will go on there and sandwich, and there'll be a screw to hold this in place here. Alright, which looks like this. Alright, so this piece here, right, this goes like this. Alright, that guides it right in there. Now when you put your screw back in, you want to make sure you go through right up by the heavy part, and right in the center here is, right at the bottom of the graphics card is the place for it. Make sure that's nice and snug right there. Okay, so there's the graphics card right in place. Now you can see as big as that thing is and as heavy as it, I have to be careful when I ship this to Guns because this thing could be bouncing around. So I need to support this thing in here for shipping. I don't want it to bounce around. I mean, I could take it out and have Guns mount it. I don't think so. All right, so we're all snapped into place. We're nice and tight in there. Here's the power connections right here. Now, in the last video, we were talking about the ends of the supplied power cables. It depends on what you have. Some graphics cards may just have one of these. Some may have just a slot of 4. It depends on the size and the power requirements in your particular graphics card. So this cable has these, like this one, right? So these are, you got to make sure that they're lined up together, and that these two right here will go into this power supply, or this power supply for this graphics card. So let's go ahead and get these lined up in here. All right, now what you want to do is support. I'm going to support just the back of the graphics card here as I push in to make sure that I'm not giving any undue uneven pressure on that PCIe slot that this is slid into. So there's room on the back here. You can still put your hand in through from the back here and support it. Just never, you know, blindly start pushing on things. You got to remember that these are circuit boards, and any undue pressure or strange angles could actually break something. So now I've got this next one together. It's kind of snapped in together, and we got to get this around, get it lined up first. Okay, so it's all lined up in there. Grab the back again, make sure it snaps into place. All right, so there's our power supply cable for our GPU. All right, now for this particular cable, I'll probably, let's see, we'll get this thing bent, this jumper part, there's this jumper part, we'll get this bent down, and what we're going to try and do is probably something like this. All right, and I'll show you, I don't know, I thought everybody knows about zip ties. They're just the little plastic ties here, right? And these are what I use to secure cabling in different areas and things like that. So you get yourself where the cable, you don't want the cable to be actually pulling down on the card at all. So get the cable in a good position before you tighten it up. Just snug this thing up, right? So we got that one there. This is what helps clean up your wiring a little bit, because you can push the wiring where you want it to go, and then you'll secure it so it'll stay there with zip ties, right? Just like that. We'll get our cutters here, and what you just wouldn't be careful when you're cutting these ends off. Now I've got specialty stuff for this. I've got an automatic zip tie cutter that actually will pull it tight and cut it, but for this particular one, it squeezes it a little bit too tight. So this one here, manually doing it, you could get a smaller pair of cutters if you need to get into smaller areas. Okay, so that is going to be like that. Now what I may do for shipping, there's this nice chassis housing, right, this shroud, and it's got some holes that I could probably do some zip tie supports maybe up and kind of hold this corner in place for shipping. Some people pack like bubble wrap, but you got to be careful. You don't want to pack a bunch of plastic stuff that could actually create static in here. So I may do something with zip ties as far as a packing, shipping type thing. And if I do it right, you could actually leave them on there for once you get the PC, and you wouldn't have to just come in here and cut them off, that it would be fine. But probably going to support from here up to here, and I'll support maybe down here to the bottom of the housing. That will give tension both sides on this corner here, because we're bolted in the back. We get tension here, equal tension top and bottom, and that should be good. Okay, so let's do a quick overview here of what we got, and before we move on. Okay, let's start with, we got power supplies bolted in. We've got all the hard drives have got power cables and SATA cables that are all in the board on the 6 GB per second SATA connections. We've got power and SATA connector for the Blu-ray. We have got our main power for the motherboards. We've got our fans plugged in. We've got all our front panel stuff plugged in. HD audio, power button, reset, speaker. We have got we've got our multi-card plugged in. Pretty much everything's in. Everything is pretty much in, ready to go, I believe. So what I'm going to do, I'll stop it here. I'm going to get set up on this monitor right here, which is that's where my other PC is. I'll just disconnect it. I'll connect it in here. I'll connect this mouse and keyboard. Everything is already set up. I'll just transfer it over to this, and then I will wait. I'll start the camera back up. We'll power this thing up together. So I'll be right back, guys. See you in a minute. All right, everybody, we're back. Got repositioned here. I moved the tower over a little bit closer to this keyboard, mouse, and monitor. So what we want to do now that we've got all of our wiring done. Sorry, I'm trying to get on camera a little bit. We want to go ahead and we want to plug in for the first boot up. You want to make sure you have these things plugged in. We're going to plug in a mouse. It's a USB mouse. We're going to plug in a USB keyboard. We're going to plug in HDMI from the monitor to our graphics card here. Okay. We got all that hooked up, and then we want a power cord. I got a power cord down here. Here we go. Power cord. Make sure that the button is off when you're plugging this thing in. Okay, so we're plugged in. You guys ready? We're going to turn it on. Okay, so we have power to it. Let's go ahead and dim this light down. Alright, see if you guys can see. There's a few, let me move this just a little bit temporarily. We've got, there's like a LED strip that's inside the board here. It looks like it's the Republic of Gamers logo, and it kind of outlines the back here. It's pretty cool. Up at the top there, you see there's a start button and a reset button right below it. That is part of this enthusiast level board. You can do stuff with this board when it's outside of a chassis, outside of a tower, where you can actually start the motherboard and the processes, and that's what that is. That's unique to this level of board, this enthusiast level board. So, well, I guess that we should go ahead and try and boot this thing up into the BIOS and see what happens. Let's get this repositioned. All right, so we got power, we got our HDMI. We want to make sure that our source on our monitor here is set to HDMI 2, because that's where I plugged it in. Alright, HDMI 2, here we go. Alright, our fans came on. Looking for some life here. My monitor seems to be scrolling through. There we go. Alright, so press delete to enter BIOS. Should be entering the BIOS now. There we go. Alright, so we didn't explode, and we're booted up into the BIOS. Now this is actually called, is it UEFI? They're basically going away from the name BIOS. If you guys, let me come in here a little closer with the camera, see if it'll show. Is that, can you, I'm trying to get to, oh shoot, I just rolled my chair over something. Nice. All right, well, let's put it about like that. Hopefully you guys can see that. So this is what is replacing the old BIOS system. This is, now look, you know, mouse, you can, it's actually clickable. You don't have to use the arrow keys like you did before and stuff like that. So you see the basic settings here. You've got an extreme tweaker here on tweaker. Yeah, man. No, it's tweaking of the CPU. Republic of Gamers advanced mode, extreme tweaker for overclocking profiles. And I didn't really talk about what that was before. Overclocking is taking your processor and manipulating voltages, manipulating things like that to get more more frequency, more speed, more power out of your processor. That's what overclocking, meaning it has a base clock frequency that it comes with and that it's recommended. But with this type of system, this type of motherboard, this type of CPU, you can overclock, kind of push your CPU to the limits and get more power and performance. What it looks like here is, and again, this is the first time I've ever seen the Rampage Rogue version of this. It's the same idea as what I had, but I didn't have these overclocking profiles in my two PCs that I built. I had to mess with it myself a little bit, and I ended up with using the Intel Turbo mode, which works really good for my two PCs. But you can see here it has a normal overclock profile, it looks like. It talks about suitable for day-to-day gamers. It's got a gamer's overclock profile. It's got an extreme overclock profile with low current and extreme overclock profile with high current. So for now, we're just going to leave it where it's at, and we are going to go look at the next tab, I guess. We'll just look. Here's the main tab, talks about your BIOS version, the CPU information, memory, all that kind of stuff. Then you got an advanced tab where you can go into different configurations. If you're just building a PC, you don't need to mess with this stuff, okay? Unless you've gone ahead and gotten this type of level, you're definitely going to want to either get help or do a lot of reading about what to do here. You don't need to mess with this stuff if you don't have to. It's got a monitor tab, as far, not monitor as in display, but monitoring voltages, temperatures, fan speeds. You can see it's telling exactly what the fan speed is. The CPU fan speed is at 941. We got two chassis fans right here and here. Those are your other fans. Everything seems to be running nice. And let's see, next tab, we got a boot tab. And here it should tell us, yeah, here's our boot priorities. And we're going to want our number one priority option is going to be that Patriot SSD drive, and that's where it's at. Boot priority number one is the Patriot drive, because that's where our operating system is going to be, okay? It's going to look at your drive first, like, you know, when I first load Windows on here, it's going to load it from the Blu-ray drive, so that's the default. But the boot option priority number one will be the Patriot drive, because that's where we want to boot from. And we got a tool tab here. It talks about flash utilities, some overclocking profiles here. You can see that there is no overclocking profiles installed. So you could have a couple different profiles, and you could name them and save them. Say if you were maybe going into a gaming tournament or something like that, and you had a certain profile for your CPU and everything, and then maybe you had a day-to-day one that you always use, or things like that. You could actually load different overclocking profiles from your BIOS. So that's that. And now the fun part, which is backing the camera up. I'm going to go get my Windows 7 disk. I'll load it in the drive, and I will start loading the operating system on here. And then from there, we need to format the drives, format the hard drives and everything. We'll name the drives and start doing the basic layouts of our operating system. It's pretty easy at that point. It's like this. It's more... it's menu driven as you're setting up and installing an operating system. There's a lot of stuff on the internet. If you come into any problems, you can search on there. But this right here is pretty cool, even for me to see for the first time. Mine, it's even a different color. The one on mine was blue. It's got like a blue instead of this red. This red is like their Rogue. Rogue is Republic of Gamers, their enthusiast level stuff. So it's pretty cool looking. Well, it didn't blow up. That's a good thing, right? Take your time, step by step, check things, look things over. Read the book. That book's not that thick, and it gives you very specific, very simple instructions to follow on how to put these PCs together as far as building them. Now, I may do a follow-up video once I get... I'm looking in that thing. I may do a follow-up video once I get the operating system and everything on there, just to show you, I don't know what it looks like, but it's going to be kind of weird Maybe I'll get a recording software on there or something like that. I don't know, we'll see. I'll see if I'll do a follow-up video, but I hope you guys enjoyed this series. That's pretty much it. It basically took me, the first 3 videos were all in one sitting. That was about an hour and a half, and then these 2 videos that you just have seen were about 45 minutes. So not that long to actually completely assemble it once you have everything sitting in your office or wherever, your work area, to assemble this thing. And if everything goes right, you're going to end up booting up the first time and being ready to load your operating system. So from here on out, it's basically just loading Windows type programs. It's very simple. I'm sure most of you have done that. And we'll go from there. So if I do a follow-up video, you guys leave some comments if you want to see like a follow-up video when this is done, before I actually ship it out. I want to get it done and shipped up to Guns right away. So hope you guys enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun for me to do. It was kind of hard for filming. I know the production values dropped a little bit with me moving around the camera and stuff, but I wanted to try and give you guys a little bit more of a close-up view from the noob builder to all you guys out there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.